I feel like I, as mama, already knew we were done. He wasn't coming back from this. You can't feel that way. You can't let go of that hope. But something inside of me says we're done.
Eileen Weresch shares the story of why her teenage son, Frederick Marion Weresch, aka Fritz, chose to have his body composted after his sudden death.
Oh, Fritz. Okay. Fritz was a friendly kid. People were drawn to him. He was nice. He was a friend. He was a friend to people who needed a friend. Super chill, super laid back. And he was, the love of our life, honestly.
Eileen and her family talked openly about body composting before Fritz died.
Washington was the first state to legalize the composting. And so I heard a report on it when our legislature passed it. I just thought it was fantastic, right? Because it just makes so much sense. And so at dinner that night, it came up in conversation. Fritz, we were all having a conversation and he was like, that's so cool. It makes so much sense, And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking we're kind of letting Fritz know what we want. I never really thought of it the other way around, that this would be us kind of getting a clue on what Fritz would want.
In November of 2022, Fritz became ill.
Fritz had been sick, not with anything major, but kind of like a cold. It wasn't COVID. But he'd just been kind of under the weather. He's sleeping. I let him sleep in. I check on him in his bedroom a couple times. He looks totally just peacefully sleeping. I throw his cat in there. His cat curls up on his legs. And I continue to check on him. Like 9:30, 10 o'clock rolls around. I'm like, this kid needs to wake up. So I go in to wake him up and I don't get a response. And I feel his leg, it's a little bit cool, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I shake him and I'm not getting anything. And all of a sudden, all the blood just drains out of me and I'm just freaking out. And I cannot he's non-responsive. The paramedics come. They were able to actually get a pulse. And so they took him to the hospital.
Testing was done, but doctors couldn't determine why he was sick.
We know it wasn't suicide. We know it wasn't a drug overdose. We know it wasn't a brain bleed. We know it wasn't a heart attack. We know it wasn't a pulmonary embolism, but we don't know what it actually was.
Fritz died on December 6th. He was 18 years old.
I did what I think the ICU nurses call the mama wail. It was early in the morning. And it just felt the overwhelming loss of my child. I was by myself with him. I just howled and cried and howled and cried.
Although Fritz's death was unexpected and sudden, he ended up saving several lives.
He'd always wanted to be an organ donor since the time he was a little bitty kid. We know that his heart was placed and matched, and that his lungs were placed and matched. His eyes also, but that's not really a life-saving thing, but it's a sight-saving thing. Fritz was like, I don't need them. Why shouldn't someone else have them? What we very intentionally did in the hospital is just really fill him up with love, fill him up with all of our love, his body, his cells, so that when they were taken from him and added to another person, they would be full of not only Fritz's essence, but the love that we put into him.
Before Fritz was laid to rest, he was honored at the hospital.
Okay, so leave it to Fritz. He did everything kind of big. Leave it to him to have multiple celebrations, right? It turned into hundreds of people coming to Fritz's honor walk. It's a chance for people to honor the fact that a decision has been made to donate an organ. When the organ donor, who is typically housed in an ICU unit like Fritz was, is wheeled to the operating room where the organs will be removed, members of the family, friends, and hospital personnel will line the walkway and give honor to the person's decision. It kind of gave them a chance to have a moment to say goodbye and to grieve together. And they lined those halls. We had to snake through the halls. We even had to go around some places twice and go upstairs and downstairs. We took the longest route possible to that operating room because he was in the ICU for some time before he died. I was thinking about it, kind of what the next step was, of course. And literally 4 or 5 of his friends came to me separately and said, "Hey, Eileen, I just want to make sure that you understand that Fritz would really want his body to go back to nature." I heard this again and again, and I thought, oh my gosh, what does that actually mean? That means that he talked to his friends about it. And it means that the kids are all in on this because it's not carbon emitting, it's carbon capturing. It's environmentally friendly, and it is going back to nature. I think we have this kind of desire inside of us to go back to nature.
A few months later, his family held Fritz's composting or terramation ceremony. Funeral director Katie Houston explains how it works.
So terramation, or legally called natural organic reduction, is the gentle transformation of human remains into soil. It's done in a controlled environment inside of a vessel with organic material like straw, alfalfa, sawdust.
The laying in ceremony was super special because that's when the body is taken and placed with organic material in a big vessel, quite a bit bigger than a coffin. There's straw and there's hay and it smells really good. We placed his body in that vessel. The amazing thing is you can put anything in with it. We put flowers, we put greenery. I mentioned that Fritz grew up on a 4-acre garden. We brought a lot of things from this garden and placed in with his soil so that part of where we live and our place could be part of his soil in the end. Other friends brought things, letters that we were able to write on paper, anything that can be biodegradable. We put some of his favorite food in with him, some candy and chocolate and things like that. So we could make it very personal and very meaningful, and we knew that that would all be part of the soil. And that felt like such a wonderful closure, and it was like a relief to place his body in a comfortable environment and know that natural processes were going to take place.
Eileen was the first parent that returned home let be part of the actual terramation process.
We had never let families back into that area before. And she pulled me aside, she said, "I promised Fritz I'd be there till the end. And for me, that is until he is completely covered and the lid is closed."
I said, I want to help. And I said, "Give me the rake." So I just started raking it, and it was so cathartic to me. It felt incredibly good. It was that final wonderful moment of being done with this long process of Fritz dying and me losing my son and me saying, okay. It was super, super sad, and it was super meaningful, and it was super great all at once. I felt elated. I felt like this was like a transformational moment for me. I don't know if people can understand that or not. It felt like we'd done such the right thing. It was confirmation to me. How I was feeling was confirmation that we had done the right thing. It's experimental. It's cutting edge. Fritz was experimental. Fritz was cutting edge. He liked to be different. He liked to be out there. So the fact that he was on this cutting edge of this new thing in his death seemed perfect. It just seemed fitting. He knew how to make an exit. He knew how to make an entrance. He knew how to make an exit.
Okay, we love you the mostest. We love you the mostest. Okay. Watch your fingers. I got it. Ready? Ready, let's go. 1, 2, 3, no!
Terramation is fairly new, and it's currently only legal in 12 states.
The vessel is closed, and it's placed into our front of house area where there are 74 total vessels. That space is visitable by the family, so it's kind of like a temporary cemetery where they can come and sit with their person and decorate the outside of the vessel. And after 30 days, that person's microbes in their gut have done their thing and transformed them into beautiful soil that needs to then rest for a second 30 days, so 60 days total. And then there's about 250 pounds or a cubic yard of compost that will go home to the family for them to create memorial gardens or whatever they can imagine with their person's compost.
Houston says terramation is better for the environment.
I don't think people generally realize how bad traditional funeral services are for the environment. An average cremation uses about 300 gallons of fuel. It emits about 500 pounds of CO2, and you're left with charred bone. It's not nutrient rich for plant life, it's just calcium. With traditional burial, you're generally in a casket that is sealed in the ground, so you never become one with the ground. And we offer terramation, which sequesters about a ton of carbon for every terramation that we do. There's no fuel input, there's no anything. It's just your body doing exactly what it was made to do. So it is much more environmentally friendly than the traditional options that are out there.
Return home service for Fritz was free.
For anyone age 18 or under, there is no charge at return home. We made this decision that no parent should have to plan for their child dying, whether it's an expected or unexpected death, and that we were not going to charge for those individuals.
I just think it was perfect. I would want everyone to have such a great experience.
After the terramation process was complete, Eileen shared Fritz's remains with family.
One of the great things about terramation is that you get, as a result of this process, this amazing nutrient-rich soil. So we decided to bag it up and give it to anyone who wanted some at the memorial service. We have soil that is Fritz's soil. It's not weird, it's not scary, it's awesome, it is nutrient-rich earth. What did they do with it? Lots and lots of different things. Some people took it on hikes to nature and spread it. His very best friend took it into Yellowstone Park. People have taken it to Hawaii, to Mount Fuji, Iceland, Scotland, Germany, around the United States as well. People have put it in their gardens, in their planter boxes on their front porch, and said that those flowers were brighter than any flowers they had. It's fertilizer.
Eileen and her husband are still processing Fritz's loss, but they are happy that his life has helped so many others.
I'm still on my grief journey. We're still all on our grief journeys, but I do feel like his life on earth meant something. Could anyone understand the elation that I felt and this incredible sorrow that I felt at the same time? No, because grief and mourning is an incredibly personal experience, but I feel like we as a culture need to talk about it. We as a culture need to destigmatize death and grief. And I want to do that. I want that to be part of Fritz's legacy too. Part of his legacy is the organ donation. Part of his legacy, I hope, is to raise awareness about terramation, that it's so much better for the earth. But I want part of his legacy to be that maybe we can start talking more about death and not be afraid of it. Everyone experiences it. There's no escaping it. So therefore, it touches every human on the planet. And for me, I just feel like we are so afraid to talk about it. And I don't want to be afraid to talk about it. I want to talk about it.
For more information on terramation, visit returnhome.com. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindall.